As we mentioned earlier, heavy snow, bitter cold, wind, and freezing rain are hitting parts of the eastern U.S. The National Weather Service has issued advisories in several states, including Maryland, New York, and New Jersey. Tens of thousands are without power this morning in Virginia, and Washington, D.C. public schools are closed today. Meanwhile, thousands of flights have already been canceled. So Errol Barrnet is at Reagan National Airport with more on how the winter storm is impacting travel. Errol, what is going on with the flights?
You might see behind me, skies are now starting to clear up because this system has moved through. It's now heading further up in the northeast. But the D.C. area airports, that's DCA, Dulles, and Baltimore, they are experiencing cancellations and delays of up to 50% of flights. Further up in the northeast, it's worse at the New York area airports and in Boston, where this snow system is now moving to. You mentioned the 2,200 flight cancellations from Thursday. Well, by right now, Friday morning, we've already exceeded Thursday's number. So with that, at that rate, we could end the day with almost 3,000 cancellations, which just adds to how difficult of a start it's been to the year if you've taken a flight in the past week. Airlines have also, we're kind of ending the week where we began, Anne-Marie, with airlines acknowledging that the spread of the Omicron variant continues to hamper their ability to staff these flights. Alaska Airlines announced it will be reducing its schedule for the month of January by some 10% because so many staffers are out sick with COVID. Now, airlines are offering waivers to people who have had their flights canceled. They're doing what they can to get back on their feet. But you want to start the year with a sense of optimism and joy, and instead we've been knocked in the face and kicked in the groin.
I know, over and over again. And I was just thinking, you probably will do this story once a year. They always do that, the customer satisfaction for airlines, and then they list the airlines where people are the happiest. I don't even want to see what those numbers are like, because I'm sure people are going to be miserable about flying for a long time. So what are officials warning about as the storm continues? I know here in Philly, it's supposed to wrap up, the snowfall is supposed to wrap up at around 9 this morning, but then the storm continues going, further north. So what are officials kind of warning us to expect?
Well, there's a couple of layers of danger, as we saw along the I-95 here in Virginia this week. You can have initial kind of like wet snow. You can then have the actual snow. That overnight will turn into ice. And so by the mornings, it looks like it's just a wet road, but in fact, it's black ice. And that's incredibly dangerous for vehicles, especially those semi-trucks. And in Tennessee and Kentucky, we saw some really tragic results to that, people almost losing their lives. And so as this system moves through, it may look nice and pretty outside, and this is why so many schools have been canceled, to the chagrin of many parents, but also businesses, because it is actually dangerous to move about on the roads. Officials are urging folks to kind of only hit the roads if you absolutely need to, and if there's ever been a public service announcement for why it's crucial to have an emergency kit in the trunk of your car, or the boot as some of us call it, this was it. Blankets, food, water, potentially fuel, just in case you do in fact get stranded for an extended amount of time. And you also mentioned power outages. That's possible as well, so you want to stock up at home to just get you through a few days in case the power is knocked out, so you can keep everybody warm, fed, and with water as well. So this is kind of typical winter weather dangers that we all experience, but because this is happening during the age of COVID, it's even more challenging for people everywhere.
Yeah. So to charge up those devices too, it was a good reminder for all of us. You mentioned the power outages. What more can you tell us about that? When can we expect at least some of the people who have lost power to get their power back, particularly in Virginia?
That's right. There are still some 60,000 power customers here in this state of Virginia that don't have electricity right now, which is remarkable considering that the power was knocked out on Monday when this system first came through. Officials have been working hard. What happens is the snowfall takes place, it leans on the trees and the power lines, the trees break, fall on the power lines, and then it takes time for officials to get out there, connect everything up again. Meantime, there are vulnerable people still waiting for their electricity to get going. So the expectation is that by the end of today, Friday, these power customers should be back up and running again. But as this storm system moves through the northeast, it's moving through the New York City area and New England. The concern remains for folks up there as well that the power could in fact be knocked out as this snow, the heavy snow, can lean on trees. So hopefully by the end of today, we will see everybody connected once again, but this system is really kind of starting the year with a real wallop.
Wallop indeed. Errol Barrnet, thank you very much. So wallop, not an official term. So, as we have been discussing with Errol, a massive snowstorm is barreling its way through parts of the Mid-Atlantic and the Northeast. Hundreds of car crashes have been reported in Kentucky and Tennessee already. They got snow yesterday. Thousands of flights have been canceled, and school districts in Washington, D.C., New York, and New Jersey have canceled classes for today. Chief meteorologist in from CBSN Boston, Eric Fisher, has more now. Eric, just how much snow can we expect to see today?
Well, Anne-Marie, some towns are going up around a foot here in the Boston area, into Rhode Island and into northeast Connecticut as well. Fast-moving storm system, but putting down some huge snowfall rates. You know, here in Boston, you think of it as a winter city, right? Up to this point, less than a ½ inch of snow total for the entire season. Places in the south, northern Alabama, had seen more snow than us. This morning, different story. It is snowing heavily, huge snowflakes out here at rates over 2 inches per hour. Snow started at 4. We've got about 8 inches of snow on the ground, and we're making our way on up. Big band of snow that's set up right over the city. Main impact here, it's all about the snowfall, the poor visibility. Thus, all the canceled flights. Definitely not a fun day to be traveling out there at the Logan Airport or at TF Green down in Providence. In terms of the roads, also not going to be in great shape, and a lot of officials have warned the shortage of staffing like we see in so many other things. Not as many plow operators as usual, so they're asking people to just have some patience and understanding this morning. The good news is, at least for the kids, we finally have a snowstorm to talk about here, and there's no wind. There is no major power outage concern on this end of the storm. It's a very gentle but heavy snowfall, and no coastal flooding either with this particular one. It is going to be all about travel this morning, those snow-covered roadways, and crews not really able to keep up with 2 inches per hour. That's too heavy to make really safe travel conditions. Some essential workers still out there, take it really easy. If not, try to stay home today and enjoy, if you can, this first big snow. It took a while. Anne-Marie, you know, you look at the longest streaks without an inch of snowfall. Boston was almost to the record. It was the 5th longest. We hadn't seen an inch of snow since last February, so it's been a long time coming, and now winter has shown up.
All right, Eric, thank you very much. I'm sure my kid will enjoy it because she's home from school. Well, she's remote learning, but as soon as school's out, I'm sure she'll be out there having fun in the snow. Thank you so much.